It is your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. And we're zooming in and focusing in a little bit more in depth today in terms of understanding the role of supply, understanding the role or the development of codependency, egoism, or the feeling of a role of being subordinate or inferior to, such as the dynamic that is created when you're in a relationship with a covert narcissist, a malignant narcissist, a psychopath, a sociopath, someone who has basically indentured you to a lower rung of dominance or value or worth or credence in the relationship. So by virtue of the dynamic or pattern that is created or inherent in a relationship with a covert narcissist, a malignant narcissist, overt narcissist, or psychopath, is to understand the oftentimes unconscious affiliation that you have with them as terms of less than, inferior to, or lacking in some way. So it is to understand that, yes, all people have different strengths. All people have different talents and individuality, and that one can be a very good match, or by virtue of the relationship, be a very good complement to the other. So your strengths might compensate another through their strengths or what they have to bring to the table. So that's a healthy dynamic in a relationship. It's to understand and be able to appreciate, acknowledge, and validate and not feel threatened when another has a strength, an upbringing, a place, something about them which you admire and are interested in. And then likewise, through the law of reciprocity, this is reflected back to you. So there's the foundation of respect. There's the foundation of listening, to acknowledge and validate, and to not make less than or inferior to in the process. There is a feeling of harmony and not of aggression or hostility or trying to control, trying to relegate and target through shaming, through intimidation, through name calling. The other myriad manipulative tactics with which a covert narcissist or a malignant narcissist or a psychopath will indenture you as supply, taking your good life energy and not giving like in return. It is to not be shamed. So it is not to be criticized or to have that really quiet hostility and be around that and wonder why you're not getting the love, wondering why you're not receiving the validation or the guidance or affection that you're deserving. So it's to be put into a position of lack. So the core of codependency, and really when we look at the dynamic that is created with a narcissist, with a psychopath or a covert narcissist, is to realize and understand the cause that has created this effect or feeling, namely with which the narcissist is going to get their needs met to the detriment of your needs or respect of you. So there's a relegation of one that is inferior to, made invisible through the supply relationship. So inherent in the dynamic, meaning the interchange or exchange of a malignant narcissist, and they're very different really between a narcissist and a psychopath, and we will discuss that here in this video because we do try to address both. So in the covert narcissist relationship, there is a dynamic that you are not worthy, you are not worth attending to, you're not worth speaking to. There's a quiet hostility and rage and attention which is created because of a profound sense of selfishness, a retreating sense which deprives you, and through this, what is not spoken, what is not given, what is not attended to, what is not shared, is the projection that you are not worthy. You are in a state of lack. So it is a lack consciousness which is created in the supply or in the target, like we'll see in the state of a psychopath, which creates this dynamic or feeling of being less than or being a sort of supply in a one-directional manner. In other words, there is something inherently missing or dysfunctional or an insecurity within this individual. So it is my unspoken obligation and responsibility to live in a state of lack or self-sacrifice or self-deprivation, not being heard, not being seen, not being attended to, not being realized, recognized in your state. And you are then attending with the lower energies of your survival needs, of your physical needs. So you end up giving into this unconscious pressure that you must then take care of, you must attend to their needs. So that becomes the forefront of your perception. You are perceiving that you must attend to their needs in order to survive. It becomes really a state of really sort of chronic and ongoing fear that if I don't attend to their needs, if I don't give to them, which is a natural state of the heart, which is to love, to give, it is to share. So any relationship which is foundationally healthy, if we look at the next state, it is to be able to share and to experience together and not feel threatened, not feel less than. It's a different dynamic. It's going to feel different. But the covert narcissist relationship, where there is this dynamic or energy exchange going on or perception, it is to understand that you have relegated yourself by virtue of the profound or pathological self-interest with which this person lives their life. It is to be neglected on a psychological, spiritual, and physical level. So there's many levels of deprivation which, in the relationship you unconsciously but willingly take on and concede to and agree to. You make a commitment essentially in your heart that I will be less than, that this person's needs are more important than my own. And then it becomes a problem when your needs are not getting met or they're not attended to. There is no communication. There is no eye contact. There is no physical connection. There is no opening of energetic exchange between the two of you. You feel unattended to. You feel shunned. You feel ignored. You feel that you don't matter. Your experiences during the day, what's going on with you, becomes now a struggle because you are now feeling in a state of lack. So this lack then leads you to over-obligate yourself to taking care of their needs. So in other words, you don't work on developing yourself, your interests, your spirituality, your psychology. You become very truncated, and now you begin to focus or become obsessed or become organized in the relationship or your identity around constantly taking care of the needs of this person. Whether it's, how's your day? How do you feel? What do you need? Tell me about you today. And then your cup is filled by this person. But you don't ever get a chance to fill up your own cup first. You don't get the opportunity to feel what that feels like, to say, yay, here's my cup, here's my nice glass of wine, here's my nice glass of water, here's my nice glass of milk, here's my nice glass of pop, and let's have an exchange from that perspective. So you don't get a chance to feel that. You always feel that this person looms larger, is more important, takes up your perception more than your own perception of yourself. So that's why people will say, peace and harmony, I don't know what my needs are. I don't know what my interests are. I have social anxiety. I'm not coming from a place of strength. I'm coming as a result from this. I am a little bit shaky here. And that is because you have not had the opportunity to exist, live, and breathe from this state of abundance, a state of being enough, a state of being whole as the person who you are. You've always had to give a hunk of yourself, your perception, to this person. And you become inflamed, when you don't give to this person. So in other words, you become consumed by them, very much like, people say energy, energy vampires. It is because their needs are consuming you. So if we look really in the very interesting works back in, I don't even know how long it was it the 1400s, 1600s, the days of Aristotle, Plato, Voltaire, the great philosophers of the world who really looked at the universal laws, and they look at the elements of air, of water, of earth, of fire, the elements. And so that it is to understand through the foundation, and this is really intense and beautiful, it is to understand that you have these same elements within you. You have the element of air, i.e. breath. You have the element of fire, i.e. energy and passion. It is that, metabolism within you, which helps you to digest your food. It is the fire, the energy. It is your passion. It is your I am, which is there, which we're going to see, which is people feel very lazy, apathetic, because they don't have a sense of their own internal fire. The element of earth, the physicality of things exists within you. And of water, of course, you must ingest water. Your body is 70% of water. You must ingest these elements of life in order to live and to grow. And there's a symbiotic relationship between you and the earth plane. Just like there's a symbiotic relationship between, plants and people, trees and people, animals, spirits, and people. There's a symbiotic relationship in the universe at large running through your very own body. And this awareness is a state of abundance. Once you realize that all these elements are combined within you, and that you are whole, and you are acknowledged and validated of having all these elements running through you at just the right amount, which is emotional, psychological, spiritual balance, it is to be ignited in life and to see that you are in a state of wholeness, which is the state of abundance. So this state of wholeness is oftentimes not experienced or validated or lived in, living the dream, not the illusion. We can say it that, but it is that very problem which I feel is the core of the problematic and the abuse, neglect, the feeling wounded, and the deprivation, feeling unhappy, because I really feel that happiness is your natural inherent state once you are in the state of wholeness. It is a chronic undergirding feeling of okayness. I am okay. I am of worth. I am the divine. I am the infinite. It is to understand that you are not separated from. It is oftentimes the relationship, because of the deprivation, especially in the covert narcissist, where you are feeling in a state of separateness. There's something not right with you. I don't belong. This person is not, validating the love to me. They're not giving me attention. They're not asking how I am. I'm not able to breathe and speak and explain things. So that, I feel, which is not used is lost. So, use it, lose it. If you don't use your energy, your spirit, if you don't use that I am, if you don't live from the inside, then you're going to feel it's going to wither. It is like watering a plant. If I don't water this orchid, and they say, I water this with 3 ice cubes a week, if I don't water it, it's going to wither. If it does not have light, it's going to wither. If it does not have soil, the earth element, it's going to wither. So do you see how all the elements, and it also respirates. A plant will respirate. You don't see it breathing in and out, but that plant right there behind me, that beautiful, gorgeous orchid, is taking in oxygen, and it is breathing out and respiring carbon dioxide. It is breathing in carbon dioxide, and it is taking expelling oxygen. So all the plant life that you have in this earth gives you the oxygen that you need. If you want to thank someone for the oxygen, you can thank all the trees, the plants, the grasses. They are putting it out. They're putting out the oxygen. So it is to understand that the elements, all these elements, are required once you see the wholeness. So if you are not given the oxygen, i.e., the verbal, the communication, you're in a state of emotional asphyxiation. You're not allowed to grow emotionally. You feel weak emotionally. You feel unsure of yourself emotionally. You feel self-doubt emotionally. It is also the role of the intellect, which is also absorbing this right now, this information, which is required for the healing process. So you have to have that little flicker of intellect, which is the understanding of the brain to incorporate these things and to understand and then put it into a state of application or assimilation, or maybe in the state of this osmosis, i.e. taking it in, absorbing this. And then the intellect needs to keep it in place. It's like our higher learning, which goes, got it, peace and harmony, it's in me. That's like your intellect, your intellectual, I got this, and is to your desire, which is your intellect and your heart coming together, which is the fire. So if your desires are not able to be, are not addressed, your desires are not given life and being able to express themselves, i.e., the eternal flame is not allowed to express itself, then it is going to wither. It is going to become extinguished. It is to be feeling in a state of lack, which then causes you to do the over obligation. My relationship is depending on taking care of their needs. I'm going to pay their rent bill. I'm going to take care of their kids. I'm going to cook what they want. I'm going to listen to what they have to say. I'm going to watch what they want to watch. I'm going to go to their restaurant. Everything becomes organized around their needs. And then hence the relationship of codependency is created. You are not, you're coming from a state of lack, inferiority. I'm not good enough. I'm shamed. I'm missing something. So you're coming from a different place. And that is built on the perception that you experience that based on the relationship dynamics. I hope this really makes sense. This is probably one of the most important things we are going to be discussing, is to understand how this was set up in the first place. And so if you are then coming from a state of lack, I am not good enough, I am not lovable, I don't know what I'm saying, I don't know what I'm talking about, your interests can't get grounded, your relationships can't get grounded, you can't be living on your true purpose when you are trying to satisfy those pathological needs. There is a disease state. There is an uncomfortability there. There is something missing. There's a feeling of something wrong, but you have to keep living anyway. So that's how the struggle becomes, and that's how the I'm not living the life I'm supposed to becomes. You're trying to live and conform to their standards, to their needs, versus living your own. And the pathology becomes even worse when you're in a relationship with a psychopath. It is like that on nuclear levels. It's just even worse, where your whole really being gets blown out. You really, it's a very, very caustic, toxic, sort of really anti-humanity, and nuclear, and it will demolish you, it will dissolve you, it will extinguish you. So when we talk about when we're talking here about the elements, it is to understand that oftentimes the element of the fire within you has been extinguished by the element within the covert narcissist. So it is to understand that, just like in the works of Aristotle and Voltaire, and they talk about the elements, just as one element can extinguish another, I really feel that this plays out elementally and foundationally in a relationship dynamic with a narcissist, because it is it is their fire, their needs, which extinguish your own emotions. So your emotions are fluid, or energy in motion. And so actually, it's like your energy in motion is your wind, your inspiration, which is the fire and the air coming together. It is as if they extinguish the earth or the substance within you. So just as fire, an element of fire will extinguish wood, given the proper circumstances, fire will dissolve wood. It'll take it. And it also will take oxygen. So it will dissolve those elements, and then take the oxygen, take the wood for it to survive. I very much feel that in the dynamics of a relationship with a covert narcissist, there's a certain dissolving of your needs, or taking on of your energy, in order to keep that pathological or diseased dynamic going. So that's why you feel less than. The elements are not all working in balance within you. And it's even worse and more profound. In fact, I should probably do a video on the development of codependency, really within these two different pathology personality types, because they are so very different. A psychopath is on a whole nother level. They are based on the wiring of their minds. They are lacking in emotion, and they're an interspecies predator, and they're acting with no morality. So it's even worse. In fact, I think I'll save that for another video. We'll probably do that here in just a moment. But it is to understand then, through this knowledge and a little bit of intellect, that you must then release the past, and as a witness to this, and then release your future with this knowledge. In other words, you need to have your future released. And another point that I wanted to make is that it is because you're held back by this lack. So it is this feeling of lack within yourself which creates a lack mentality. I'm not good enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not handsome enough. I don't have enough. My income isn't good enough. All these are based on, the external circumstances or the external perception. They are set in the mind of you by the external forces of society. So it is the erroneous reflection that you are not good enough by the values which are established by the society itself. So do you see how all that negativity, whether you don't have the right color skin, you don't have the good enough car or truck, is all established by the perceptions which are created by the dynamics of a society. And I know we have a lot of international viewers here, so it's really, within each society with which you'll understand that. I did a lot of study in this in university. One of the books we read and studied was Gandhi and his experiments with truth. And it really was an interesting thing. In that culture, I believe they do a lot of what is called verbal tradition. So you're passing on knowledge and wisdom through the spoken word. So that is very much, it's called the oral tradition. So it's kind of similar to what we are doing here. But it is to understand that oftentimes the values that society creates to propel itself are by virtue of the dynamic trying to create this sense of you don't have enough, so you are less than. And so things are rapidly changing in the information age where, one is not pitted against the other. It is a state of togetherness, not separateness, which really, and non-judgment, which we're really going in the right direction, but there's a lot of not going in the right direction as well. So you will see really pockets of harmony and pockets of separation, or these problems. You will see the good. So that's why it's so important for you to align yourself with the internal teacher, the one within, in order to get that state of wholeness, and that you are not the negative perceptions of another. You are whole within. You have that. Once you begin to see that valuation of yourself as positive, and you begin to live and ignite that within you, and give yourself the ability to see, to not come from a lack consciousness, which has been set up in the relationship dynamic. It is to say, hey, I am good enough. I do have enough. I have enough food. I have enough water. I have enough shelter. I have enough clothing. It's actually pretty darn good. And, I am beautiful. I am handsome. I am magnificent. Those words, those experiences that this person was mimicking me, and we'll get to more in the psychopath, or not giving me the love, and what they were, the chronic neglect, or the negative words that they say, those aren't true. That was just a perception. That is not knowledge. That is not wisdom. That's a whole different experience. So it is to come from the internal wisdom that is not the truth. The truth is, you are magnificent. You are beautiful. You are handsome. You are strong and independent. You are whole, meaning you have it all. You have the ability to live the dream, not the illusion. When you come from that state, you will see that you have, by virtue of all the days and years of your experience, you have accumulated a lot of value. You have seen a lot. You have known a lot. You have experienced and processed that. And it's time to come from the positive tank that is within you, and not the empty tank where you've got the fire, the passion. You are ignited with the air, the wind, the fire, the earth. That is you. And that you then open up to that feeling and experience that I am enough, and my interests are, and I can follow those. The positive early direction thinking, where then you manifest it and you believe it. So you're coming from that state of absolute, unequivocal belief and faith that the divine and the infinite runs through you, with all these different elements churning together. It comes from a higher consciousness. It's dissolving the negative perceptions that were put in place. So it's like the fire of spirit that dissolves the negativity. So just as we were saying a moment ago, the fire that devours the wood, your internal spirit and your truth, basically burns away and consumes and dissolves the false statements, the false looks, the shaming, you're not good enough, you must take care of me. That is the falsity. That is the delusion, or that is the covert narcissistic need, which was set up in you, and you had organized this lack mentality around, and to see you have enough, you are enough, you're good enough, you are a whole independent person, and so it is. And once you believe that and validate it and go out and then act upon it, you must act from this belief. Your behaviors and choices and decisions must come from this, and you must believe. You must have the word believe around you. You must have the vision believe around you. You must have the action believe around you. You must have the physiology of believe around you. You must exercise it. You must get up and move in that foundation. You must understand it to be so, and then life will meet you there. Life will begin to give you the opportunities. The doors will fling open. The balance will, even if you're slightly unbalanced, I don't know if this is right, peace and harmony. I think I need to have these negative people around me. It's difficult for me to let them go and have my intellect that tells me it's okay. In my heart, this is new. It is to kind of have that like bit of Christmas every day. It is like a feeling of Christmas every day when you're like, oh my gosh, I do have enough. I am loved. The universe will give to me. I can live with that. I am so happy. And then to jump for joy and be happy, and to be able to experience that and be like, oh my God, I do have what I want. I do know what I'm interested in. I am following up on that. I am taking it in. I am beginning to smile. Oh my God. And no one's slapping my face while I'm smiling. No one is smacking me upside the head while I'm eating healthy. I don't need to over obligate and mess myself up financially because I'm trying to prove myself attractive, good enough, lovable, magnificent. I don't have to engage in those defense behaviors anymore. I don't have to drink myself under the roof, under the car, under the toilet anymore because I am feeling energized and I'm actually feeling the way that I want to, and I can balance it out. So I can go and say, you know what, now I'm a book person. What really gives me, fulfilling of my desires is to read. I'm okay with that. Or maybe I do want to go out and ride a bike. Maybe I do want to go and bird watch. I want to just breathe in fresh air. I want to learn to cook. I want to learn to juice. I want to have positive and life around me, and it is okay. I can maintain it. I can take care of it. I'm afraid to have plants, peace, and harmony. I might kill it. There's your lack mentality coming again. I don't know if I can build that table, peace and harmony. I've got these tools, but it might not look very good. There's your lack mentality. I can't go on my date, peace and harmony. I'm so used to being, intoxicated by this person and feeling that I needed this person and their approval to survive. There goes your lack mentality. You need to change that negative orderly direction thinking, which is keeping you stuck in that you are not good enough. So it's to understand and pull out those roots. Go into nature, begin to study and see the analogies, study the sacred geometry. Go and look at a pine cone. Go and try to look at a tree for a moment today. Go out and touch it. See the difference between a small, medium, or super large tree that's been there for 200 years. You're like, dang, that tree is freaking rooted, dude. That tree is downright on it. That tree is alive and strong. And I am like that tree. I am like that strong, beautiful tree that's putting out the big leaves and is happy and is, prevailing in its little spot where it's planted. And the place that I'm planting it now is in that positive. I am enough. I am magnificent. I am whole. And the internal teacher, internal guider comes from that spot. That is the positive, orderly direction thinking, which will guide you and will tell you you don't need the toxicity. It's to say, I know what negative is. Those aren't the elements of what is in my best interest, and I'm dissolving it now. I am I am alchemizing that now. In other words, it's like the fire. You are the fire that's already consumed, and you're no longer putting out the bad smoke. You're consuming the positive, and you need to really kind of banish or get rid of that negative element. It's always going to be there as a reminder, especially in the beginning, but you need to dissolve it like water dissolves sugar. You need to really kind of get it out, and don't be ashamed and don't feel like you're doing the wrong thing, because that's your lack mentality. It is